cultures there. So without further ado, that's the Bali experience. Up there in the upper right-hand corner, you can scan that QR code and just be there with me, see what that's all about, and reach out if you have any questions about that. Yeah, so without further ado, I just want to bring up our guests to talk about these hidden agreements. And so I'm welcoming in Divinely Deborah and Amy Shine McLean. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for being here with me today and exploring this topic.
Thanks so much for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you're on mute, Amy. I mean, I can't read lips very well, but I know your energy is.
I'm delighted to be here with you.
Oh, we're delighted to have you. And I'm delighted to see that Curtis Rivers is tuning in and supporting us here. He is an amazing soul too. And his story and what he has done. And he just went to Japan and I was just there. It's just incredible. So thank you, Curtis, for being here and being part of this discussion today. I would love to hear some insights that you share too, Curtis. And of course, we have Mike Asherbranner and the Hounds of Business supporting us as both Amy and Deborah and myself are part of the Hounds of Business. And maybe people might be scratching their heads about how can these lovely ladies talking about hidden contracts and being more mindful of your energy and your presence and being in the Hounds of Business. Well, that's the beauty of the Hounds of Business, is that it's a collective of many different talents, and we see each other's strengths, and we really put our time and energy in supporting others that we see that hold value. And it doesn't surprise me that Colleen now is chiming in here too, because she is also a wonderful cornerstone of the Hounds. And I don't know if you missed it, Colleen. I was sharing the cards that you sent me from Kevin with the kindness worldwide. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Let's get into this topic. Let's talk about these hidden agreements and how you each have noticed that within your own life and how you bring that forward in your business. I would love to hear more about what you each have to say. Deborah, do you mind stepping up here and sharing your insights?
Absolutely. Well, I'd love to start off with a quote that I curated this week around preparing myself mentally, physically, emotionally for this conversation. And the quote is, every yes is an energetic contract. So ensure that your soul is on the signature line. And I think that is a wonderful umbrella statement, principle that is really the cornerstone of what we're going to be talking about. And I think it's important to have cornerstones so that you know where you're going and what you're navigating through, so you don't end up somewhere else or with, in the wrong motion picture. So that would be how I would love to open this.
Yes. And just a little bit about you. Give a little taste of what you do and how you've seen this unfold in your life and business, Deborah.
Absolutely. Well, it unfolds every second of every day. And what I do is I work as a mentor, a coach. I have a wellness and beauty business. It's global. I became a founding member with a company that I endorsed over 4 years ago. And we are doing amazing things with blue ocean science and really impacting souls on a very deep level from the inside out, which is what you're all about, intention, keeping our intention pure. And how I navigate that every day is by trusting the process that's unfolding one thing that I do is I don't have an agenda every day. I follow the energy and override emotional things that are happening in my life by being disciplined and being very connected to why I do what I do and how I show up and who I show up for.
Very well said. Yes, you are very intentional, as my business name is Living with Intention. And I appreciate you, sharing that and the movements that you are making across the globe. Thank you, Deborah, for being here. And
Thank you.
Amy, bringing you up to the stage about these contracts, about things that you've noticed in your business and your life, and how you're helping to create that ripple of change. Just a little taste for us here before we get into the discussion.
Thank you so much for having me first and foremost, and thank you for opening this discussion because it's so critical right now with so much noise in the world. What I find is as life changes, we have an opportunity to either stay still or pivot. And I'm bringing this onto the screen. The Four Agreements is a book that I read every year and year or more, and I reflect on it often. And be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally, right? So when things happen in our lives, like Deborah says, we live with intention. I too don't often. I have some things in mind of what I'd like to achieve each week, whether business-wise or personally or just with myself. I greet each morning with gratitude. I have an attitude of gratitude. And it's so impactful. I find that people receive me differently when I show gratitude and I show up fully. And not really putting too much stock. There's a famous quotation, I'm not sure by whom, but it's being wary of flattery and criticism, right? And so I just try and show up fully and presently. I lead all of my businesses with that heart-led intention. And I find that working with people like Deborah, like you, like Mike, Colleen, the people who are here, Curtis, is so life-giving. It paints my agenda for each day. So the new people I meet, I feel like I take that energy forward. And I lead with heart. I lead with forgiveness. I lead with gratitude. And then things just happen. When you are in a high energetic state, you have a high vibrational frequency. In metaphysical science, we know that what you put out comes back to you, right? So if I take offense to things, then I might be offending someone. Or if the ifs can go on and on. But right? So the hidden agreements we have, as Don Miguel Ruiz mentions, are trained. And we'll get into that a bit more. But it took me a lot to untrain myself. I'm in my 50s. Mm-hmm. And I greet each day the same way, with gratitude, meditation, yoga, and some Ayurvedic rituals that I do. And it really grounds me. Or if I'm having an off moment, I forgive myself. And I forgive everybody around me who might do something or say something. That's about them. That's not really about me. So how can I redirect that energy and greet them with kindness and respect and dignity that we all deserve?
Yes. I think we all agree with you for sure. And Mike says he needs to find that book. So you need to send him the link to the Four Agreements.
The last time I bought it, I buy it and give it to people. It's ancient Toltec wisdom. So I often, yeah.
He said that he read it and lost his copy. Yeah.
Well, probably because he gave it to somebody. I give mine away a lot, Yes. It's people who ask me for guidance or ask me, how are you? You've gone through so much. How are you so positive? And I said, well, I have a choice. We all have a choice. You can listen to the noise, or you can Be you.
That's the perfect comment that you just made, is having the choice. Because I think a lot of people, they get so caught up in their emotions, or they care too much about what others think about them. And that's what solidifies those contracts. That's what keeps us boxed in and working really from fear instead of love and that appreciation. As Colleen's sending you some love right now, Amy. And Deborah, as we were talking about that, I saw you nod. I know that there's some things happening there for you when it comes to these contracts. Yeah, and feeling that bound, it just doesn't feel right, does it?
No, that's where your intuition is your guide. And so when you have a true north and you know who you are and how you're navigating, who you're becoming, how you show up for others, and how you pivot from your own triggers, because no matter how much work we've done, I've done work on myself since I come out of the womb. I can remember at age 12, I knew I had a calling, and the ongoing work that one does is in direct correlation to the way that we can lead others, because we first need to lead ourselves. And so I related to everything that Amy was talking about in that showing up with gratitude, not dialing down, being present, being open to listening to people. In one of my coaching calls this week, I had a client ask me, what do I do to make this alliance, this connection with this woman that I've just reached out to, that I haven't talked to in 20 years. And I said, what would be really valuable to you would be to ask powerful questions that you're very interested in learning about. So get into curiosity. As we know, curiosity opens up a river of connection, and be other-centered or centric, not be focused on yourself, not be focused on outcomes. Just allow everything to light. Mike and I have talked about this. It's like when the time is right and the stars align, you cannot stop the floodgates from opening up. We can part the Red Sea that way. So we know all about the power of being present, pouring into others, asking great questions, being truly, truly introspective and interested in others. And when we are interested in others, people become interested in us. So be a little bit of a mystery.
Yes, that mystery.
I like that.
And that openness. Although I think there's a lot of people out there that when they're not aware of the contracts that they're carrying. How can they bring that awareness to where they can see it for themselves? What happens in that moment when we are aware of, oh, that's something that no longer serves me? This is those contracts that Deborah and Amy Shine was talking about. How do we peel back those layers of those contracts? I'm just curious to hear what you ladies have to say about that. Amy, I'm going to bring you up to see.
That's a great question, and I think about it often. I can't pinpoint when. Gosh, since I was a teenager, I've always been different, but kind. I think most people who know me would say I'm kind, and I care very deeply for people. I'm a good friend. I have friends from when I was 5 years old I still talk to regularly because they grew up in the same place. I had the advantage of growing up from 0 to 24 in the same city. But as I've traveled and lived around the world, I take them with me. My home is here. And so as long as I have communication, I have that opportunity. And when I do that, I know that people, I don't follow people, I guess is a quick way to say that. People follow me because for some reason my energy is pure. For some reason, because I try. I tuned out the noise. I got off of social media for the most part. I check in. My friends know they can catch me, but there'll be entire conversations and drama and things on Facebook that I have no clue about because I go on about once a month to make sure everybody's okay. But I really don't engage with it because I was finding the 24-hour news cycle and these things, these repetitions are training, like you're talking about. So becoming untrained was not as hard as I thought it would be. It's like forming a new habit, the 21-day habit. I tried it for a few days and then it got longer and longer and I had more and more time. And I was filling that time with nature walks and cooking and connecting with new people. And I was just so jazzed about that it was easy.
Yeah.
It became very easy for me. And in so doing, I think I subconsciously became untrained. And people ask me, what do you do? And I say, I lose my phone a lot. I'm not checking it. It's not an extension of my arm. I go to LinkedIn for business. That's primarily where I do business, other than word of mouth and friends and real connection. And a little plug for the Hounds of Business. That has been phenomenal. As far as Mike Asherbrenner is concerned, one of the top people connector with genuine heart-led, and you mentioned Kevin Smith as well, and Colleen, a lot of the people who are here, Curtis, these are all people I want to hang out with who are untrained and know that this matters, that connection matters, the powers that be, whatever they may be for you or me, want to have control, but I gave up control a long time ago. I just kind of go where the vibration leads me.
Yes. I love it. And what I hear you're saying is, breaking the contracts and going for more connections, more meaningful connections, whether it's, to nature, as you said, go out on walks, yoga, to ourselves. When we really connect to ourselves, then we recognize those stories or those contracts that we've bound ourselves to and that they no longer serve us. And I would love to hear Deborah's vision about how to break those contracts, when to recognize when that's opening up.
Well, I think it comes back to the 100% root, pillar, and wings of yourself. You need to be connected to who you are, tethered to your true north, and understand when things are not peaceful, then they're probably not going to be progressive. And when there's no alliance and no connection, when people are not in that resonance together, and there's resistance on either side, then it's how you're going to know. And so I guess my succinct answer to that would be that we know because we're being guided by energy. And so when we come together, or we're even in a tactical place, like say a store, and the energy's not right there, we're out of alignment, it's too busy, there's a lot of contrast, then it's really important for us to listen to ourselves. So I think it's pulling the mirror up, putting it back on our soul, on our spirit, on our intellect, everything that we are about, and listening. And then I think part 2 is be willing to do the work. And so if you're not getting still, if you're not diving deep, if you're not, putting yourself into situations where you're expanding your own envelope, where you're evolving your own soul's contract, you're educating yourself in arenas that you love, And as Amy said, spending time in nature, getting still. You talked about meditation. Meditation, yes, there's always going to be noise. I tuned in, tapped in, and became very, very still prior to the time that we were going to spend together. So it's like we don't need to save up our mana. We're here because we have become somewhat experts in the navigating and recognizing what is still a great contract for us spiritually and what is not. And it behooves us to really get connected to whether or not that is or that isn't, and then finding a way to pivot and create a boundary with grace.
Mm. Yes. Well said, Deborah, and also Amy. I love your contributions, and just for people to recognize, it's when we're feeling that, as you said, Deborah, that resistance. So there's a push, or and then Amy even said, the saying yes, right, to things. Well, when you're saying yes, you're also saying no to something. And it's usually we're saying no to ourselves. That's really what's happening there. And being mindful, right? Mindfulness and that awareness of how these hidden contracts keep us stuck, keep us in that little box. And it's not serving us, and it's really not serving others either. And by being brave enough to step outside the box, I always say that we're like hermit crabs. And so hermit crabs, they're not born in a shell, right? They're a little egg, they hatch in the ocean, and they have to scurry around and find a shell that fits them. And then guess what? They outgrow their shell. So think about the contracts as those shells. And we're growing energetically, emotionally, spiritually, or other ways, even, career-wise, and thinking that we have to stay in this job, in this space, because we made a commitment. We're not going to go against our word. Well, things are meant to change. We're meant to evolve. We have to find another shell, as a hermit crab does. So then it has to release out of that shell. It's like a little tail. It's like a muscle. It holds into that shell. And it has to be vulnerable. And it has to go creeping around, looking for other shells, seeing if it fits. And then once it finds a shell, it has to grow into that shell again. So again, finding contracts that fit for you, finding things that really resonate, that is your yes to you. And I love Colleen saying, crabs leveling it up, right? Yes, Colleen, because we are like little hermit crabs, and we forget, we think because we reach a certain age, we should have everything figured out. And that because we made these commitments, these contracts to ourselves, to others, that it would look like failure to break them. Yeah.
I think that's a really key comment, if you don't mind, I want to touch on that.
Please.
Mother and mother of three, and big learnings. I parted ways with the father of my children 5 years ago. And
that's a contract, huge on many levels.
Yes. And, as things evolved, a lot of things, like you were saying, if there's disturbance in the force, if you will, things will be said and things will be done, and lots of contracts are made and blah, blah, blah. And I really had to get to a place where I was alone and had to find me again. It doesn't mean I'm no longer a mother. It doesn't mean I'm no longer a woman. It doesn't mean I'm no longer a business person. Those were the things that I had committed to and wanted for me. And I was so consumed by what the box, the boundaries that others have put on me. And people pleasing is a lot of what we say in hypnotherapy. I'm in school for hypnotherapy, and so critical. And that's another piece. Find what you love, even if everybody tells you you can't. Because you know what I know? I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, 25, 26 years. What I know is if you love it, you will find a way to be successful at it, and you can't lose. It's going to have hills and valleys. Colleen is also a serial entrepreneur. She can speak to that. But if you don't go for it, you're going to live your life keeping promises to people, but, saying no to yourself, like you said. And where's the good in that? How does that make the world a better place?
Exactly. And you mentioned, before we get to Deborah, because I know she's got some hidden gems here to share, Amy, you mentioned about hypnotherapy. So how do you support your clients to work through, to see these hidden contracts and to move through them, or however that works with hypnotherapy? Can you walk us through just a little bit about
There
that?
are so many myths about hypnotherapy. So without getting too far into it, remember that our conscious mind takes up only about 8 to 12%. And what we're talking about on this next level, and the 4 agreements, or these hidden agreements, are really, it's tapping into your subconscious mind, which is the art of hypnotherapy. So very, on a very tiny level, what I can say about what I'm learning more and more is, with my clients, I teach them, you are in control of your conscious mind as well as your subconscious mind. You can control it. That's ultimately what meditation is tapping into your subconscious mind and rewriting your script.
Yes.
So what the hypnotherapist does is offers suggestions while the person is in hypnosis, and we're tapping into the subconscious mind. It's basically habit formation, habit change, everything from losing weight to smoking cessation to it can be anything. I don't want to work for corporate America anymore. So how do I get started? It can be anything. And it's amazing, the work. You can heal yourself. Joe Dispenza, many people know Dr. Joe Dispenza, is a graduate of HMI, my college. And he's world renowned for healing himself cell by cell, vertebrae by vertebrae. And that's what hypnosis can do. So when I look at it as a therapist, I look at it as, I'm simply there as the vehicle to allow the person to learn how to access their subconscious mind. And we make tapes and let them play it, but they're really doing the work. I'm just there to facilitate, just like being a teacher.
Yes.
That's an amazing. I love it. It's so beautiful.
It is truly amazing. And just even remembering that our thoughts are just our beliefs, or thoughts that we've just repeated over and over and over, and we're rewriting those scripts. So that's why we were saying in the title, right? Rewrite your story, rewrite those scripts. And I know Deborah has some wonderful information and essence to share here. I'm glad you unmuted yourself, because I saw that you were muted. So Deborah, yes, share here.
Well, I love to go back to the question, what we're saying yes to, we're saying no to ourselves. And I think something that is more important than that is, as we are doing that, we are taking ourselves away from who we are becoming to serve our masterful mission in life. And so it's not as simple as the yes, no. It's more, how are we showing up for ourselves? Like, it's a proactive choice to be able to serve ourselves well. I remember early in my career when I actually did home party plan, and I can remember standing in front of a group of women and saying to them, when you take care of yourself and you put yourself first, you have the ability to be able to serve others, because you cannot serve from an empty cup. And I think that that's a big topic these days, burnout. I have lots of colleagues that are into executive burnout, corporate, corporate on a corporate level, and, mental fitness. And I think that reprogramming of oneself is super, super, it's right up there with oxygen. And so if we're not willing to put ourselves in a place, a space, and remove all the outside noise and anything that no longer aligns with us, and do that work so that we can sharpen our saw and, expand that elastic so it's more malleable. And then I think another word that came to mind as Amy was speaking is that it's about coming out of your comfort zone, being courageous in your life. It's not about being so comfortable that, you bury your head in the sand and you think it's going to happen for you. That's not what setting intentions is. Or it is about setting your intention and then taking the corresponding activities and also doing the work from within so that we can come out and serve with greater levity, with greater spirit, with greater connection with others.
Yes, I told you, everyone, that we were going to go a little deep here today and invite you to be curious and open. What types of contracts are you holding on to that no longer serve you? And it's really costing you. The situation, the other people, they really don't care, because they have their own contracts that they're trying to keep. And so it's really about having that courage, as you said, Deborah. And Amy, yes, go ahead.
And I think just to add a little more value and jump into the deep end with that, it is, about not becoming part of somebody else's agenda for you. And so being so unwaveringly strong, but flexible and malleable. It's not that we're, we're not talking about rigidity here. We're talking about, flexibility is the cornerstone of health. And so therefore, not being so locked in our ego that we wouldn't take a look at or entertain a new thought or way of being and be curious about that, and perhaps try it on for size and, not get stuck in our beliefs, because that's really what happens is people get out and they ride that bicycle the same way all the time. And, instead of, I was talking with one of my clients this week who was walking backwards on a treadmill for cognitive,
Yes.
for mental fitness. So there's so much that we can add value to this topic, but those are some of the basic thoughts that come to mind.
There's so much we could really keep going and unpacking this. Amy, what do you have to contribute to this stone soup of collective consciousness that we're creating here?
Yes, Deborah was talking. I had synapses firing. Remember when you look up, because I want to address briefly. You mentioned fear. That's natural. That's our conscious lizard mind, right? So fight or flight. But you have a choice, right? You keep saying that you have a choice. And when you look up and you say, you've heard, everybody hears this these days, you are the 5 people with whom you surround yourself, or you're a mirror, right? So thank you for being my mirror today, ladies. I'm so proud to be here. And just remember, everybody out there who's listening, remember, you have a choice every single day. I've known that since I was little, which is odd in and of itself that you know that you have that, right? what you do. And don't be afraid, because there are always going to be people there who take up what you're doing and they see you. And then they reflect who your inner soul is, your inner energy is. Because if you didn't want it, you wouldn't attract it to you. Right?
Yes, unconscious or consciously, as we're thinking and then
Right.
things come in. Yes, and that might be another discussion that we'll talk about. Although before we leave here, I want you, since you're already on stage there, Shine, to talk about how people can reach you, what you have going on right now. To support others too.
Oh, yeah. I am starting to see clients for hypnotherapy. I'm building so that's a big thing for me. Starting in January, I'll be taking clients, and I'm doing some free sessions for a while. So pro bono sessions, so I can learn and
Take
practice.
advantage of
So
that. Reach out to Amy.
yes, please do. I would love to work with you and work on what you are aspiring to see in your life. ShineMcLean@gmail.com is the quickest, easiest way to get a hold of me, as well as LinkedIn. And I think, yes, you have my LinkedIn. I'm a chef. Yes, Chef Amy McLean. So that's another thing I do. I'm offering classes. I'm cobbling my ideal life here in Puerto Rico. And so part of that will be offering hypnotherapy sessions. Part of it will be offering travel and food experiences here in Puerto Rico, as well as other places to be determined. So those are primarily what I'm doing. I'm also planning retreats. So yeah, LinkedIn and direct email. I'm not going to spend time on all the social medias. These are my two ways of getting a hold of me easiest, and I respond quickly.
And I just want to clarify that you work virtually and in person, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. That's the way to go. Thank you, Amy. And don't leave yet. Right? I just want to make sure everybody gets your contact
I'm not going
information.
anywhere. I'm loving it.
Yeah. And Deborah, how about you? How can people connect with you, and what do you have coming up here?
Well, I have lots going on. I'm a massive spinning wheel. And my primary mode of operation is to connect personally. I like the organic conversations, and that's why I loved when you asked me to come on as a guest and unpack this topic, because, it's something that, is very, we have to become proficient in this. And so the best way to reach me is LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I think you have my telephone number. You can reach out to me in a text. Let's set up a call. My offerings are, I love to support people in getting from where they are to where they want to go, having organic conversations, zero detachment to the outcome. It's all about us finding that watermark, whether or not we have alignment, connection, common interest, values, and then from there, we can create whatever it is that we want. That's where the magic is. That's where the mystery is, that mystery line of grace when we make that connection, like you and I did when we met, April. And then, of course, I have wellness and beauty from within products. I work in the medical field. I work with wellness practitioners, RNs, functional medicine, MDs, chiropractors, you name it. And I support them in leveling up their business from their services beyond the door. And so that's a whole other topic that, those are the people that I'd be interested in connecting with. That's where I have the greatest resonance, because I can really support that industry in reaching beyond their client and leveling up the level of service that they receive from their practitioners and any of their if there's at a spa, or they happen to be, at a plastic surgeon. So we are really into some very unique blue ocean futuristic science. So I'm just looking forward to connecting with people and on an authentic level. And it's just been a privilege and a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. And I just want to, so that's Deborah's website, divinelydeborah.com. And then you can also reach out to Amy via LinkedIn. I love everything that you both are doing and how you show up authentically. And these two ladies truly care about you, and it's because of the work that they've done, right? They're living with intention, and it's rippling out from the inside out. And I just so appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Those who tuned in, I just have given a shout out again to the hounds, to Mike. I guess people are commenting and I can't see it on LinkedIn. So sorry, Elizabeth. Mike's like reposting people. Curtis, thank you. We so appreciate you being here. And Colleen, you chiming in with your wonderful, amazing insights as well. And I just hope that people do reach out and connect with these beautiful souls here, because, it's about being able to explore those unseen agreements, right? That could possibly be guiding your life, and we can rewrite them, right? And create new ones that really align with your purpose. So reach out to these lovely ladies, see how they can support you. Reach out to me, as I do have the Bali happening next year. And as we're talking about contracts and releasing things, this is a beautiful place to explore that and discover more about yourself in the process. So any questions, please DM me. And I look forward to seeing you next time. And remember to keep living with intention, my friends. And thank you for watching. Be well.
Thank you, April.